Would you still care about the Oscars if every actor on screen was made of code? Well, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences just made a massive decision that is going to change movies forever. Welcome to The Explainer. Let's get right into it. So, can a machine actually win an Oscar? We're living in a world where AI-generated performances are getting so incredibly good, they're practically indistinguishable from reality. Because of that, the Academy has officially drawn a line in the sand for the 99th Oscars coming up in 2027. It's a huge, desperate attempt to save the human element of cinema before automation just completely takes over. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at Hollywood's AI invasion, how they're drawing the line, and what's banned versus what's allowed. Then we'll get into enforcing human authorship, some other major Oscar changes, and finally, what all this means for the soul of cinema. Part 1. Hollywood's AI invasion, the catalyst for change. How on earth did we actually get to a point where the Oscars needed to ban algorithms? It's wild to see how fast AI has crashed the Hollywood party. Back in 2023, we had those historic SAG-AFTRA and Writers Guild strikes, which were largely fueled by artists terrified of AI displacing human creators. Fast forward to 2024, and OpenAI drops Sora, totally shocking the industry. But the real tipping point? That hit in 2025, when the indie film As Deep as the Grave was announced. They used a 100% AI-generated digital likeness of the late Val Kilmer to play a Catholic priest, literally a digital ghost. That massive controversy forced the Academy's hand, leading to these strict new rules for 2027. Which brings us to Part 2, drawing the line and defining human authorship. Now, the Academy isn't just throwing a blanket ban on all artificial intelligence. No, they're setting a very specific, kind of philosophical boundary. The absolute crux of it is this requirement right here. For any acting performance to be nominated, it has to be demonstrably performed by humans with their consent. Basically, a digital likeness is not an actor, period. Even if a studio legally owns the rights to an AI-generated performance, like that Val Kilmer project we just talked about, or an AI persona like Tilly Norwood, there's absolutely no way that performance can compete for an award. The core of the acting has to come from a breathing, flesh and blood human being. And you know what? The exact same standard applies to the writers, too. Screenplays absolutely must be human-authored. Sure, a writer can use an AI tool for some basic brainstorming or research, but the person who actually gets the credit has to be a human who demonstrably wrote the final piece. A machine just autonomously spitting out a script from a text prompt? Yeah, that doesn't count as human creative expression under these new rules. Moving on to Part 3, banned versus allowed, the VFX exception. It is absolutely crucial to clear up what is strictly prohibited versus what's still perfectly acceptable in modern filmmaking. This breakdown really gets to the heart of the Academy's logic. On one side, you've got your creative architects, the actors and writers. The Academy sees them as the very soul of a movie, so generative AI replacing them is a massive no-go. But on the flip side, look at post-production tools. We're talking visual effects, sound design, editing. Using AI there is completely allowed. They know AI is an unavoidable tool in post-production now, so as long as a human is pulling the strings and not just letting the AI be the creative author, it's fair game. To put that into perspective, think about the 2024 movie Here. They used AI to create younger versions of the characters played by Tom Hanks and Robin Wright. Under these new guidelines, that is perfectly fine. Why? Because it's a visual effect modifying an actual, authentic performance by real humans. Tom and Robin were still the ones doing the acting. The AI was essentially just digital makeup. All right, Part 4, enforcing human authorship, the affidavit. Now, you might be sitting there wondering, how on earth is the Academy actually going to police this? Well, they've come up with a pretty strict legal hurdle called the Affidavit of Human Origin. During the submission process, producers literally have to sign this document under penalty of disqualification. They have to swear that the scripts and the performances were actually made by humans. So the burden of proof, it now rests entirely on the studios to document exactly how they made their movies. And they aren't just taking a signature at face value either. The Academy laid it out clear as day. The Academy reserves the right to request more information, taking into account the degree to which a human was at the heart of the creative authorship. They are taking a super proactive stance. If a script or a performance feels suspiciously synthetic, they will absolutely launch an investigation. This isn't just a polite suggestion, it's a binding, enforceable rule. Part 5, other major Oscar changes beyond artificial intelligence. Let's pivot for just a second, because the Academy is also shaking things up structurally for 2027 in ways that have nothing to do with code or algorithms. There are some massive shifts happening here. First up, the International Feature Film category. It used to be a super strict one submission per country rule. Now, a film can bypass all that national politics if it wins a major award at a festival like Cannes, Venice, or Sundance. So an incredible film like It Was Just an Accident, which got blocked from submission by Iran, would now qualify automatically. That is huge. Second, the actual Oscar statue for that category will go directly to the film and its director now, instead of the submitting country. And finally, acting nominations. It used to be one nomination per actor per category. Now, an actor can rack up multiple nominations in the exact same category if they land in the top 5 votes. That is going to completely flip campaign strategies upside down and really reduce what people call category fraud. Finally, part 6, the soul of cinema, looking ahead. Let's bring it all together and look at what this really means for the big picture. There are a few really vital takeaways we need to look at. First, these rules cement those hard-fought labor protections from the 2023 Hollywood strikes. Second, they're setting a massive global precedent for other cultural institutions that are trying to figure out what to do with AI right now. Third, they're being realistic by acknowledging that AI is just a permanent fixture in post-production. But most importantly, they're trying to preserve the beating heart of human artistic expression. The Academy is essentially saying that lived human experience, real vulnerability, and true emotion will always matter more than mere technical capability. Which brings us to a final thought. As AI inevitably gets better at flawlessly mimicking human emotion, will this boundary actually hold? Now I want to hear from you. Type in the comments of this explainer. Do you believe human emotion can ever truly be replicated by a machine? Leave a comment below with signal for yes or noise for no. Think about that the next time you sit down to watch a big blockbuster. Thanks for joining me, and I'll